There's a rare kind of fire that smolders quietly beneath the surface, waiting for one unmistakable moment to erupt and echo from the grind, a silent promise whispered through every shot launched in anonymity. And now Gabe Matson may just be the spark lighting up Golden State's path back to glory. Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, where raw truths collide with splash era passion. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so your heart never misses a beat. In a summer league landscape often dominated by flashes without follow-through, 24-year-old Gabe Matson has rewritten the script with a performance that's causing ripples of wonder and whispers of hope among the Warriors' faithful and front office alike. Remember the name, Matson. Not a heralded blue chip, not a top draft pick who stormed into the league on prime radar, but a high-volume three-point sharpshooter from Utah, whose journey reads like a blueprint for perseverance, 5 years of quiet. Grinding college development, grinding beyond the glare of national spotlights, only for this moment to arrive with sudden brilliance. In Golden State's recent 103-93 triumph over the Jazz, Matson didn't just contribute. He exploded, dropping 22 points in a mere 17 minutes, coolly slicing through the defense with 6 made threes on 10 attempts, while sneaking away a couple of steals that showcase hustle and anticipation. To those who watched, it wasn't just about buckets. It was the confidence exuding from every pump fake, the quick trigger that Steve Kerr's offense craves, the efficiency of a specialist with poise. This isn't some one-night wonder conjured by nerves or luck. It's a clear continuation from college pedigree, where Matson stands as Utah's all-time leader in made threes, a volumetric weapon, hitting over 100 triples back-to-back seasons. His shooting percentages, 37.1% overall and 32.2% from deep, tell a story of flashes rather than perfection. But those numbers conceal his true value, the relentless threat he posed as a floor spacer and a workhorse in Utah's offense. The way he moved off ball with smart timing, the subtle defensive awareness that keeps him far from liability, those golden traits which Golden State headquarters knows to prize above raw star wattage. Insider voices like Steve Bartle of KSL Sports called Matson on a heater, while Andy Larson from the Salt Lake Tribune admitted surprise to see him pacing the scoring column so early, signaling that Matson's rise was no accident but a coming of age. This is the kind of drama that makes the Summer League pulse with possibility young warriors like Gabe, 5 years in the college trenches, finally unspooling their perfected craft on the NBA's grander canvas. Standing at 6'5" with a release smoother than silk, Matson looks like the specialist who could integrate seamlessly into Kerr's system, a complex ballet of constant motion, quick decision-making, and deadly spacing that maximizes shooters and upstarts. And as the Warriors tread cautiously with roster moves, salary cap calculus, and the looming presence of an aging core anchored by Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, the front office's appetite for fresh blood that can Tilhashin immediately refresh the second unit can't be overstated. Could Gabe Matson be that missing ingredient, the shooter with real defensive awareness, the late bloomer finally seizing his chance? The stakes are sky high, the market thin, and patience valuable. But here's the under-the-radar bomb no one saw coming. Matson may no longer be flying under the radar. This summer league is leading up to a towering matchup against the Memphis Grizzlies. And the question burning in every Dub Nation heart is, this was Matson showing against Utah Jazz just a flash in the pan, or the defining ignition of a new chapter? Could this be the watershed moment that turns everything on its head? After years of the We Believe spirit with role players season glory, after witnessing the Splash era's roller coaster of triumphs and trials, the idea of a new underdog shooter coming out of nowhere hits different. Imagine giving Matson minutes alongside the likes of Kuminga or Moody, spreading the floor for Curry and Thompson to weave their magic. Could the Warriors be quietly constructing a future chessboard beneath the spotlight? And is Matson the unexpected knight poised to deliver checkmate? As a lifelong Dub Nation believer, my pulse is racing just writing this, every stat and scout note swelling into a narrative that promises Excitement and possibility, a reason to hold breath between shot clocks and crunch time. But is this the ignition point for our next title run or the crack that splits our legacy? The silence around free agency may be deliberate, perhaps strategic, with Matson's rise suggesting a subtle recalibration toward homegrown grit and niche expertise rather than blockbuster signings. Where does that leave Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody? Do they become the cheerleaders on the bench or the catalysts alongside Matson to forge a revamped bench identity that complements the Splash Brothers' veteran wizardry? Grab your thoughts. Dub Nation, I'm dying to hear your unfiltered takes in the comments below. Is Gabe Matson a stealth warrior ascending to redefine our bench strength, or a brilliant spark gone too soon? This saga is far from over, and here at Warriors News Fan Report, every heartbeat counts. If you felt your pulse spike watching Gabe Matson drain those threes like he's been waiting his whole life for this moment, then slap your keyboard and scream your hot takes because this is a pivot point, a crack in the sky of Dub Nation's uncertain horizon. This isn't a minor blip, it's a seismic tremor beneath the Chase Center floorboards that could either mark the birth of Golden State's next era or the last faint sputter of the dynasty's twilight. Picture this: Steph Curry, still the maestro, still the heart's compass, but the weight on his shoulders now heavier than a title run because the core is aging, the knees creak, and the seasons past have taught us one brutally clear lesson. You don't rebuild. You evolve or you implode. Enter Gabe Matson, a guy whose name was barely whispered in scouting chats last year, suddenly flashing from a dusty college record holder to a weapon that could spell a new kind of hope. But the question burning hotter than the Summer League: courts, can Matson's lightning strike be bottled for the real season, where defense is sharpened and the Splash era's magic is measured not in pop-up threes but in grit and grind? Because we've seen it before, haven't we? The season's first promise turns into mid-year disillusionment, and suddenly the chatter shifts from next big thing to nice try. Yet something about Matson's story, that slow burn 5 years of relentless polishing in Utah's shadows, feels like the opposite of a flash in the pan. It's the signature of a player who understands what it takes to survive, to carve out a role not by glory but sheer unyielding craft, the same spirit that forged Klay Thompson after injury, the same hunger that Draymond Green carries when all eyes are on his defensive tenacity rather than the scoreboard. But how does Matson fit into a locker room swirling with unspoken tensions and impossible expectations? Because let's be honest, the Warriors aren't just chasing another championship. Banner, they're wrestling with identity. It's Steph's legacy hanging in the balance after 2 decades of dazzling brilliance. It's Klay's fight to reclaim form ghosted by injury. It's Draymond's fiery leadership standing at a crossroads where his mouth often fires before. The game clock ticks down. The youth like Kuminga and Moody are raw but impatient, hungry for minutes yet needing polish. And here comes Matson, a late bloom, potentially crowding a backcourt that's already juggling plenty of ball handlers. Is Kerr, the strategic genius who thrives on adjustments, ready to embrace Matson as a new piece? Or is Matson the sacrificial lamb in a revolving door of long shot flyers? Even more explosive, what does this mean for the Warriors' trade talks? Rumored to be simmering in the bowels of Golden State's front office? With cap space tightening and the luxury of big-name signings shrinking, Matson's emergence might be a full-throttle pivot from ambitious blockbuster gambits to a gritty, resourceful roster rebuild. Imagine the front office poring over Matson's film, seeing not just the points, but the hunger in his eyes, the way he hustles when no one's watching, the way he roams defensively with that subtle awareness that never sets off alarms but quietly disrupts. Could he be the glue guy in the modern Warriors blueprint? The guy who doesn't need explosive athleticism because his release is a revelation and his instincts a step ahead. But then again, the skeptics will ask, in a league that devours daylight shooters and glorifies highlight reels, can Matson's low-key consistency ride hard enough through 82 games plus playoffs? We learned with Wiggins that raw talent and high expectations don't always meet halfway, And Moody's flashes have been tantalizing but inconsistent. The blend of youth, veteran savvy, and spiritual energy that long defined the Warriors could suddenly feel fractured, or maybe, just maybe, Matson's story is the secret thread that pulls it all tighter. The murmurs from Chase Center insiders are cautious but unignorable. Some whisper that Kerr sees in Matson an X factor, a specialist whose impact might not roar in box scores but screens in spacing and momentum shifts. Others fear the gamble elite. Shooters are a dime a dozen, and without defensive reliability or elite athleticism, Matson could get lost in the shuffle, a promising highlight dissolved by the cold bus rides and the relentless grind of an NBA season palpitating in the wings. And what of the emotional undercurrents swirling in the locker room? Steph's relentless quest for focus and precision can crush egos or elevate them. If Matson can channel that energy, it could be a mentorship moment. If he buckles under pressure, this whole summer league fire could snuff out before it even sparks. Draymond, often the emotional barometer, has been vocally stressing commitment to defense and accountability. Does Matson's subtle hustle win Draymond's seal of approval? Or will the veteran standards be a hurdle too high for this late bloomer? Beyond individual chemistry, the larger question looms like a relentless wave. What is the Warriors' identity heading into an NBA landscape increasingly dominated by youth, speed, and audacious two-way stars? We've seen the Grizzlies and Kings push younger, fresher legs with brutal efficiency. And here stands Golden State at a crossroads. Double down on the faded glory and seasoned stars, or embrace the new while clutching the old. Matson is the embodiment of this tension, a living question mark straddling past and future. And the anxiety in the stands matches the thrill. The uncertainty is nerve-wracking, but the hope is intoxicating. 4 years ago, Dub Nation collectively held its breath for Kuminga's flashes. Earlier this year, we debated Moody's upside, but Matson's sudden combustion is different. It's a narrative of resilience, of those unassuming warriors who toil invisibly until their moment erupts with undeniable force. But will that translate from these glowing minutes in summer league crucibles to the feverish, unforgiving grind of the regular season and playoffs? One game does not a legacy make, but the atmosphere in the Warriors camp feels electric somethings. Shifting beneath the surface, a new chapter being inked in sweat and silent prayer. As someone who lived through the raw hunger, the gut punches, and the euphoric parades, I can feel it in my bones. The Warriors might just be sculpting the perfect storm, blending Steph's genius with the fire of the hungry Matson, the raw promise of Kuminga, and the silent tenacity of Moody. It's not about adding star power. It's about adding heart, grind, and the relentless will to claw back into supremacy. This season might not look like the dominant juggernaut of years past, but maybe it's the season that sets the foundation beneath that juggernaut's return. Now it's time to drop your fiercest, no-holds-barred take below. Tell me, is Gabe Matson the diamond in the rough, the spark that could rewrite this Warriors story? Or is he just another summer mirage, lost to the harsh cold of the NBA's ruthless reality? Rally in the comments, because Dub Nation deserves this conversation raw and unfiltered. And trust me, I'll be right there with all the receipts and rage until the buzzer sounds again.